Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. The Jefferson Proving Grounds in southeast Indiana used to be an Army testing site, and remnants of that era, including unexploded bombs and depleted uranium, remain. Now the Army is asking the Federal Nuclear Regulatory Commission to stop regulating the area, and as Gretchen Frazee reports, that worries residents who fear their drinking water could become contaminated.
One wrong step at this work site could be fatal. Thousands of unexploded bombs dot the landscape here at the Jefferson Proving Grounds, which served as an Army testing site for more than a half-century.
Starting tomorrow, we'll be going in there and just doing straight construction work.
These men are tasked with removing the bombs in this area to make way for a new road. So far, they found dozens that, if run over by a construction vehicle, could easily explode.
Testing here started back in 1941, so up until that time we've tested just about every type of explosive round that the Army and basically DOD Air Force as well.
Colonel Elmer Spates is in charge of Army operations at the Jefferson Proving Grounds. The Department of Natural Resources handles more day-to-day operations. That's because the 50,000-acre area consists of several subsections. The northern part of the refuge is still used as a bombing range for the Air Force. Most of the rest of it has been turned into the Big Oaks National Wildlife Refuge. Visitors can enter the refuge if they abide by certain precautions, such as staying on the roads and not venturing into areas that have been cordoned off. One of those areas is the 2,000-acre depleted uranium zone.
Specifically, what's in this area, it's a depleted uranium penetrator, and they're usually used to defeat any enemy armor. And we fire them from our main battle tanks, what most people know as the M1A1 nowadays, and M1A2.
Depleted uranium occurs naturally in the environment, but in concentrated amounts, it's toxic. That's why the Nuclear Regulatory Commission holds a license that requires the Army to regularly test the groundwater here to ensure the depleted uranium isn't leaking into the water. The Army is asking the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to dissolve that license. They say it isn't needed anymore, and it creates more paperwork for the Army to keep up with. That worries some residents who live just outside the Proving Grounds gates and further downstream.
I don't see why they couldn't just go in and clean it up, and then we wouldn't have to worry about the leaching into the soils and the water tables and affecting the wildlife and, of course, humanity down the stream. The major issue is the fact that if it would flow into the Ohio River, and of course we get our water, most of the utilities get their water from Madison.
Army officials say it's too expensive to remove all the unexploded bombs and depleted uranium. But there are some safeguards. To get the license decommissioned, the Army needs to prove that it has measures in place that ensure depleted uranium levels will not exceed 25 millirem per year, or about 2.5 times the amount of depleted uranium naturally found in the environment. And it has to prove, if for some reason those safety measures went away, levels would not exceed 100 millirem, or 10 times natural levels.
In the Army's official proposal, they have said that they would not conduct additional testing. However, since they continue to own the property, if they want to conduct additional water testing, they certainly have the prerogative to do that, and there would be nothing that would prevent them from doing that.
We will continue to monitor this area and to keep their families safe. And if there is anything that happens that we notice any kind of migration of any type, we'll make sure they're alerted and we take actions to either stop the migration or make sure water's all clean and make sure children down south of this thing can safely play in the streams.
Jefferson County Commissioner Robert Little says he wants some assurances, and so far the Army hasn't offered to meet with him.
I think they could be a little more open with us and bring us on board and explain exactly what's going on and who's calling the shots and what their intent is going to be.
The Army doesn't have any long-term plans for the Jefferson Proving Grounds, but they say they don't plan to walk away anytime soon.
The National Regulatory Commission expects to make its decision on whether to decommission the Army's license sometime in 2016.